So, you're deep into your research, right? You've got all these fantastic ideas, but you're not quite sure how they all connect. Well, what if I told you the problem isn't your ideas, it's your foundation? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on theoretical and conceptual frameworks. These are the blueprints that will help you turn a pile of facts into a really powerful, coherent study.
And let's just start with this quote from Grant and Asen Liu, because it hits the nail on the head. They say to think of your framework as a blueprint for your entire project. And that is the perfect way to think about it. I mean, could you imagine trying to build a house without a blueprint? You'd just have a pile of materials, maybe a few walls up, but nothing would hold together. It's the same with research. Without a framework, you've just got a bunch of interesting but disconnected ideas.
So, yeah, that brings us right into our first section, the research blueprint. Let's talk about why every single study out there absolutely needs this solid foundation to stand on. So, why is this such a big deal? Well, a framework isn't just some academic box you have to check off. No way. It's the actual scaffolding for your entire project. It's what gives you a solid basis for analyzing your data. It's what connects your work to the bigger academic conversation, and honestly, it's what gives your research credibility and makes it truly rigorous. Okay, so let's dive into the specifics. We know we need a blueprint, but what kind are we talking about here? Turns out there are two main types researchers use, and we're about to break down the difference between theoretical and conceptual frameworks. First up, you've got the theoretical framework. This is when you take a single, established theory, one that's already out there, well accepted and tested, and you use it as the lens for your entire study. It's kind of like choosing a specific architectural style, say modernism, to build your house. You're not inventing the rules, you're applying established principles to your project, which grounds your work in a solid, respected tradition. Now, on the other hand, you have the conceptual framework. And this is where you, the researcher, become the architect. This is your custom job. Instead of using one pre-made blueprint, you're actually pulling together different concepts from a bunch of different theories to build a unique model just for your study. Let's say you're studying, the impact of TikTok on political awareness. There's probably no single perfect theory for that, right? So you might pull ideas from communication theory, maybe some political science, and even developmental psychology to build a custom framework that fits your question perfectly. So let's just put them side by side to make it super clear. The real differences boil down to origin, scope, and purpose. A theoretical framework, it's based on something that already exists. A conceptual one, that's constructed by you. One tends to be broad, while the other is way more focused and specific to your project. Now, here's the crucial part. Your study is going to use one or the other. You don't use both, because they both serve that same essential purpose of giving your research a clear vision. All right, so all this might sound a little abstract. Let's look at how a framework actually works in the real world. For decades, science class has pushed this idea of a single, straight-line scientific method. But that's a huge oversimplification. It actually misrepresents how science really gets done and kind of dismisses entire fields like astronomy that don't fit into that neat little box. And this is where a brilliant theoretical framework called Brandon's Matrix just comes in and changes everything. Instead of that one linear path, it gives us a much richer and, frankly, more accurate picture. It organizes how scientists work on two simple axes. Are you testing a hypothesis, or are you just measuring something? And are you actively manipulating variables, or are you just observing what happens? The aha moment here is that this framework shows us there isn't just one way to do science. It validates multiple, equally authentic approaches. And this is just a fantastic illustration of the framework's power. Look at this example using chromatography, a really simple technique for separating inks. Depending on what your goal is, you could frame this one activity in all four of those quadrants. You could test a hypothesis by manipulating different inks, or you can simply measure a parameter by categorizing them. And this proves a pretty revolutionary point, especially for science education. The research question is what defines the method, not some rigid, predetermined recipe. Okay, so how do you actually apply this to your own research? How do you choose your path and start drawing your own blueprint? I know it can sound a little intimidating, but trust me, it's actually a really clear, systematic process. So building your framework really comes down to 4 key steps. It all starts with your objectives. You have to get crystal clear on what your research question is. Then you dive headfirst into a literature review to see what kinds of blueprints other people have used. You're trying to find the conversation you want to join. Step 3 is crucial. Evaluate and select your theories. Don't just grab the first one you find. See which one has the most explanatory power for your specific puzzle.
And finally, you construct the framework, you define your key variables, and you map out how they all relate. This is where your research design really starts to come to life.
All right, let's wrap this all up. We've covered a lot of ground, so let's boil it down to the key takeaways that are going to help you build your next research project with total confidence.
Just remember this. Your framework is your research blueprint, period. Whether you go with an established, theoretical framework or you decide to custom build a conceptual one, the goal is exactly the same. Give your work structure, depth, and rigor. It's the thing that transforms a simple collection of facts into a truly meaningful contribution. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. After everything we've talked about today, can a study really be considered rigorous without a clearly defined framework? It's a question that really gets to the absolute heart of what it means to create new knowledge.